They ain't demonstrating. They regurgitating. That's the truth. Trust me when I tell y'all. They ain't demonstrating, they regurgitating. You hear me? But do you know the difference? You hear me? Do you know the difference? Matter of fact, are you a demonstrator or are you a regurgitator? Because they ain't demonstrating, they regurgitate. You heard? I say that because it's easy for most people to say and to do what most people say and do. Because you got to be set apart before you can stand out. I'm trying to burn nothing up. You got to be set apart before you can stand out. And if you wasn't born set apart, and I ain't gonna use the reference for that, but if you weren't born set apart to stand out, then you're gonna have to be able to set yourself apart after you get here so you can stand out. You hear me? That's what makes me outstanding. And I say that because if your light shining bright, it's supposed to cause uncomfort. It's supposed to be a problem. You hear me? You're supposed to be a trigger to all those who choose to dwell in the darkness. You hear me? You hear me? I take pleasure in carrying the truth that commands confrontation because I'm a disruptor of complacency. See, I don't care what you may be used to, that you used to. You hear me? But when you come around me, I'm gonna cause some uncomfort. You hear me? Because I got comfortable with uncomfortability. If you don't listen, you're gonna miss it. You know, the life of an empath, y'all. For y'all empaths out there, y'all already know this. But in case anybody come across this message that's not, you know, this gonna apply to you. The life of an empath is not an easy life. You know, it's not an easy life to live. But it teaches you how to read the room wherever you find yourself, in the spaces that you find yourself. If you have found yourself, if you don't listen, you're gonna miss it. You know, and I say that because I've always been an outsider. And the more I was able to accept it, the more I was able to grow into it, the more I was able to embrace it, it was enough for me not to need or desire human approval or validation. And this is a hindsight, but I realized that it was by divine design. You hear me? And this wasn't even part of what I was going to say, but it came upon my heart, so I'm going to bring it up. Why do we entertain people who say they don't need nobody? Why do we support people who say they don't need nobody? Why do we take on relations in any kind of form of fashion? Relationships in any kind of form of fashion with people who say they don't need nobody. Now, if it ain't hit you yet, think about how that sounds. It took two people for us to get here. We ain't even get here by ourselves at any point in time. For any of us to be saying that we don't need nobody. See? And it's evident that I said it too, because I'm speaking to it the way I'm speaking to it now. So I ain't off the hook myself. You hear me? Are you an individual who used to use that term? If so, quit your job. If you're an individual who used to use that term and you own a business, if so, shut it down. If you're an individual who used to use that term And you got family, you got friends, and you got associations. Cut them all off and go find you somewhere to be by yourself, because you don't need nobody. You hear me? Anybody get the point by now? See, we say a lot of things that sound good because it may sound good at the time that we may be saying it, but in actuality, it be full of stupidity and ignorance. You hear me? And a lot of times we say things that sound good because it sound good at the time that we saying it, because we may feel like it give us a sense of empowerment. And in some cases it do at the time that we're using it. But it's fake empowerment. It's not real. It's false. You hear me? And in a lot of cases, for those who got an eye to see through the ear that they hear through, it revealed a scarred soul. You hear me? Let me talk about you. It revealed a scarred soul. Let me talk about me, because I was a scarred soul once upon a time. You see, but I did some work. See, ain't nobody like me. Ain't nobody doing it like this. Ain't nobody like Sawu. You hear me? I don't care who I look like or who look like me. Ain't nobody like Sawu. I did a whole lot of inner work. You see? To be this person that I am. You know, I've been through a whole lot of hell to be authentic. You know? And most people didn't like me for my ability to be that. Authentically me. You hear me? Yeah. Being misunderstood. And I said that to say this, because it's a good thing. Being misunderstood is a good thing. Being an outcast is a good thing. Being a black sheep is a good thing. Being ostracized is a good thing. You hear me? And most times it leads to isolation. If you ain't somebody who like to be by yourself anyway, you hear me? Most times it leads to isolation, but that's a good thing too. But how many of us know how to make the best use of that time that we have when we find ourselves to ourselves, if you ain't used to being by yourself? You hear me? How many of us use that time to make the best use of that time to get to know ourselves better? You know? You ever saw somebody or know somebody, or maybe that is you, you know, that can't stand to be by themselves, but don't know how to be in harmony, don't know how to be in balance, don't know how to make good relations with the people that they do find themselves around, with the people that they do be with, you know? Because there's a lot of them out there, you heard? You know, do you know anybody who can't stand to be by themselves, but don't know how to be unified with the people that they do have in their life? Because there's a lot of them out there. And the reason why that is because in most cases, in many cases, and it's hard to see from the outside, that's why you gotta have an eye to see through the ears that you hear through, is because they fractured. They fractured. And whatever go on when it go on, it's never their fault. You ain't gotta ask me how I know. You see, it's never their fault. It don't mean that you lost or that you broken, but it do mean that you just got some work to do. Like I had some work to do, and I've been doing this work for a long time. Cause you never know how deep the layers run when it comes to the scars, the wounds of the soul that need some healing. You hear me? And as I said, as I just said, you ain't gotta ask me how I know, cause at a point in my life, that was me. You hear me? That was me, and it took a lot of damage control. It took a lot of conflict resolution. You hear me? To heal those scars or to heal those wounds, you know. So they can make some scars. You heard? Are you one of those type of people? Are you one of those type of people? You know. See, hardships prepare ordinary people. Hardships prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary life. You hear me? Yeah. Hardships prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary life. And rejection ain't just protection, cause that's another one that like to be thrown around. You know, rejection is protection. Rejection is God protection. You know, no, rejection ain't just protection. Rejection is an opportunity for self-perfection. Do what you do with the time that you have for self-reflection that you wouldn't have by keeping the people, that you wouldn't have by remaining to go to certain places, that you wouldn't have by continuing to do certain things around you that serve as a distraction to keep you from seeing yourself and being yourself, you know, in the highest form possible to you. Remember the Matrix, you know, remember the movie The Matrix? It showed us a lot of things. For those who had an odyssey through the ears that we listen to while we watching or viewing certain things, you know, the matrix of the well, I say that to say the matrix of the world is designed to make sure that you be like everyone else. And they made a movie to verify that called The Matrix. That's just one. Avatar was another. And there's some more out there, but I'm just using those two for points of references. You know, because Neo had to do the same thing that Jake had to do. You know, turn their back on the world that they was born into to become the face of it. You hear me? You don't listen, you're gonna miss it. But those analogies just enforce why I'm able to use the analogy that I use to say what I just said, you know. And as I said before, hardships prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. You see? So you don't have to be an ordinary person. You don't have to be an ordinary person. So whatever the hardships may be, whatever the condition may be, whatever the circumstance may be, or situation, the situation may be, that may be uncomfortable in your right now, stay committed, stay consistent, and stay persistent, you see, of what God, source, spirit, however you know it, has placed on your heart to do. Stay consistent, stay committed, stay persistent on the path that you feel led to walk. You hear me? Stay committed, stay consistent, stay persistent on a journey to be yourself, knowing that we're in a world that's designed to make you just like everybody else. And if you're able to do that, you will not be the topic of conversation that you used to be. You will not be the topic of conversation that you may be right now. You ain't gotta ask me how I know. You heard? It's an honor being me, authentically me. So that's the motto. And as I said before, if your light shining bright, it's supposed to cause uncomfort. to those who choose to dwell in the darkness. You hear me? Use your life to come into your truth. To walk in the truth, to live by truth, and to speak with the truth that command confrontation. Because you have become a disruptor of complacency. You hear me? Turn the table over on them. You heard? Turn the table on them, because there's a lot of fakeness out here. You hear me? Like I said, they ain't demonstrating, they regurgitating. They regurgitating. But we heard that all before. You hear me? We heard that all before. Somebody I'm talking to was birthed to bring something new to the world based off what was already here when we got here. You see? So those that been here doing what everybody doing, you see, could see something that they ain't never saw before. Those that's doing everybody, those that's saying everything everybody else saying, they could hear something they ain't never heard before. You see? And maybe you could write the next book that somebody else will be around here regurgitating. See, I don't have a lot of regurgitators in my real life. Say all the things that I say, but don't live by none of it. You hear me? Family, friends, associates, whatever. You hear me? You know. See, I ain't here to be liked. I'm just here to tell the truth. You hear me? Cause truth create change. You hear me? I just came to drop a jewel on y'all. It's up for you to pick it up, cut it how it need to be cut, and polish it. Other than that, feel good for no reason at all. You hear me? Stillness, abundance, love, light, health, to hold us to the cosmic conscious family and soul tribe. 3 times. You hear me? You know, I want to remind us to command change over our life. You hear me? That's what mind benders do. Command change over your life. You hear me? That's what mind benders do. You know? So in order to bend the world outside you, you got to bend the world within you. You heard? Commitment, consistency, persistence. To heal yourself, be real with yourself. And everything feel you when you feel yourself. You heard? Somebody got to be an example. Like I say, you can't tell people nothing no more. You got to show them. You got to show them why you telling them. So it's an honor being Sawu, because I'm going to do just that if I don't do nothing else. I'm going to show you why I'm telling you. You heard? I love y'all. Thanks for the likes, shares, comments, questions, subscribers. New subscribers, welcome to the family. You know, keep coming back. I got a whole slew of videos, you know, exemplifying this journey. You know, keep doing your shadow work, keep doing your self work. If you ain't on it, get on it. You know, ain't nothing never wrong with self improving. You know, and all that other good stuff. You know, this was supposed to take place 2 hours ago, and you know, this the spirit was dealing with me. It's my mother's birthday, February 1st. It's my mother's birthday. Salute to all the Aquariuses. You hear me? Yeah, man. Vision, organization, structure, and balance. It take you. I love y'all. My name is Sawu. Till we do it again, be you how you be you. You hear me? Peace.